Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another day here at Reach and Reverie. My name is Alex, and thank you for hanging out with me today. On today's video, I woke up this morning and realized we are officially into our first days of spring, and it is a beautiful Saturday morning. I woke up and it's 54 degrees right now. We have a high of 84, which is just unbelievable. It's gonna be a beautiful day, and any day when we don't have high winds in March to me is a win, because there's one thing that I have learned living in Texas, specifically Western Texas, is that March is usually very uncomfortably windy, and so we will take every calm day that we can get. Right now, Evie and I are wrapping up our morning walk. The sun is starting to rise, which means that we are going to be getting started on our homesteading chores this morning. Right, Evie? I wanted to bring you guys along and show you what we've been doing the past couple weeks. It's been kind of a whirlwind as we get ready for spring, get ready for gardening season, and much more. Let's go ahead and let our girls out. Evie, do you want to say hi to the girls? She loves to say hi to the girls. Can you say good morning? Say good morning, girls. Oh, I know. We have to be gentle with them, though. Not too excited. I got you excited, didn't I? Okay, back up. Let's let the girls out. Back up. Back up. Oh, y'all lost y'all's happy chicken sign. And that wind we got, huh? I know. I'm going to let them out here in a second, Evie. Stay. All right, come on, girls. We got Miss Myrtle and Yasha and Odette, our geriatric chickens. And you guys won't believe it. These girls are about 7 years old now or something like that. And they have stopped laying, right? They haven't laid in, gosh, like over a year, something like that. And I think they are just loving life here on our new property. And these girls, let's see what they have for us. Can you sit down, Evie? I want you to stay over here so you don't eat their chicken poop. Stay right there. Stay right there. Let's go see what they may have for us. They do. There are some eggs. These long skinny ones are from Yasha, our black chicken, our Australorp. Oh, there's another one. Thank you, Yasha. Miss Myrtle, Rhode Island Red, has also been laying. Odette, I do believe, is done. She is our light Brahma. She's kind of the heavyweight class of our egg-laying girls. So I think she's pretty well retired now. Chickens are actually born, and I need to clean out this run. Chickens are born with the number of eggs that they will ever lay in their life. Oh, speaking of, that's the timer for the boiled eggs I have on the stove I need to go turn off. All right, Evie, let's go get those boiled eggs and we'll come back to the chickens. Good morning, girls. They're probably gonna follow me. These girls follow me everywhere when I do my morning chores. Good girls. So they're gonna go get into trouble and scratch up my plants, but since there's only 3 of them, they don't normally do too much damage while I'm doing my morning chores. On my Saturday mornings, I like to come out and water all of the plants that we have started so far this year. So we haven't set up any kind of irrigation system yet. We just got our well dug, as y'all saw in our last video. And if you haven't seen that, check that out after this one. But some of the things we have started is I have a raised garden bed right outside of our shop and RV, and these are beds that we brought over from our previous house. And so you can see I have like my garden storage that I'm using one of them for. In this bed I have things like some herbs and some wildflowers that I have started over here. We have needing probably to come and thin some of these out. They're a little bit too closely spaced together. I really just broadcasted a bunch of seeds in this bed, and I'm gonna need to come back and thin some of them out. And you can see when we got some fruit trees in, they came in this little mulch or whatever, and I've just sprinkled that in, and the wind has just blown it around. But overall, what we have going on in here, this beautiful ground, is we have, it looks like some poppies coming up. We have a lot of calendula coming up. Some flax seed is coming up. I also have a bunch of other things planted in here as well. Like there's some nasturtiums and zinnias and wildflowers. We have things like fennel, which I think is starting to come up over here. We also have a couple things like foxglove and just some random stuff that I wanted to plant in here. We have cilantro, and so it's just, I wanted this to be like a pollinator bed that I can come out and also get some herbs from. So we'll probably, once we get the true leaves forming and I'm able to really identify what we have going on, I'm gonna thin it out to where we have an even disbursement of wildflowers and herbs that we can have growing in here. But overall, it's a really nice deep 2-foot bed, so it'll be plenty of room for perennials to grow and establish themselves. There's other things like the poppies that'll probably die back, but they seed really well, so we should have a lot of beauty in this bed for years to come. We are starting to see the first signs of spring as the desert is starting to come back to life. Right here, right off of our driveway, we have a glorious agarita bush. And the agarita produces edible berries. It looks kind of like a holly with its pointy leaves. And the blooms and blossoms on this plant are these yellow flowers, and it has just been attracting so many bees this past week. And every time I walk by, I am blessed with the glorious and beautiful, intoxicating smell of like a floral bubble gum, almost is what it smells like when it's flowering. And I'm not even kidding. Every time I walk by this, I just take a moment to stop, listen to the bees, and smell the flowers, and it has just been really nice. So we have agaritas blooming all over the property. This is a plant that we intentionally try to leave and not pull out as we are making our plans, building up our property into our homestead. So we specifically have moved our driveway over about 10 feet from our original plan to leave this plant intact, which has been really nice. We have been up to a lot the past couple weeks. We got our well put in. Even last week, after we got our well dropped and running, it wasn't pumping properly. It would pump for like 15, 30, 45 minutes, and then it would start to sputter, and it would provide water inconsistently into our tanks that we're filling up water with. And for a brand new pump, that was extremely concerning. We had our pump dropped down to about 220 feet to be well below that static line, and we were still running into issues with water pressure and flow rate and consistency of water coming out. So this week, Josh and I actually pulled our well back out. We ended up splicing the poly pipe that goes down into the pump and adding about 50 more feet to drop that well down to 270 feet instead of 220 feet. We got it all hooked up a couple days ago and have been testing it, and the water has been running very smooth and consistently for several hours without running into any hiccups. So I think we're in the clear now, but it has been a back and forth. It's been a fun process getting our well put in, and we are so glad to have it ready to go and pumping water. So I'm gonna go and turn that pump on today. We are building up and filling up our tanks. We have two 3,000 gallon water tanks, and then eventually here very soon we're gonna add a float valve to our tanks so that we can leave that pump on, and when our tanks get full it'll turn off the pump so that we can, as we're using the water, it'll kick on automatically and keep our 3,000 gallon water tanks full. And then if the well ever goes down, we'll have 6,000 gallons of water in storage to figure out how to fix the well before we run into any issues or anything like that. So it's a good security to pump it out of the well into a storage tank and use it from there so that we never have to worry about running out of water. As I'm walking through here, you know how squirrely I am, we have Roadrunner tracks right here. We've got what looks like maybe skunk prints right here. And we've got fox prints right here. How funny. We've got all kinds of activity right where I'm walking this morning. We have some orange paint, which is marking off where we're going to put our next subject of conversation. Which brings us to our fruit orchard. Over the past few weeks, in addition to getting our well dug, drilled, dropped, pulled back out, spliced, redropped, and finally working, we also have been working on our fruit orchard. Josh and I, in a recent video, planted a kefir pear tree, and you can see him right here. He is a little bit sideways. We had some strong winds that blew this cage over and kind of bent him. He's not broken or anything, but he's definitely not straight right now. So since then we put some rebar pins to actually for sure hold this fencing down. And Josh and I also cleared our first orchard row right here using a tractor, and then we also pulled out mesquites and wood chipped those down into mulch. And this space here, it's about 10 feet wide and it is about 200 feet long, this row that we cleared last weekend, and we plan on having 13 fruit trees in this row. We're getting a shipment of fruit trees coming in. We ordered from Stark Bros. We've never done that before, so we'll have to keep you guys updated with how that package arrives, and we'll have to give you a review on how those trees look and perform as well. We're not sponsored by them, but we wanted to share. We've been looking around and looking at a lot of different tree companies, and we really liked that Stark Bros has been in business for over 200 years, so they've got to be doing something right, and we thought we would give it a go, trusting them with our first row of fruit trees. So coming in this week, we already have the kefir pear. We're also going to have a Blake's Pride pear. We're going to have a Ayers pear. We'll have a Granny Smith apple. We're gonna have a Grimes golden apple. We're going to have a Pink Lady apple. Then we're going to get into our plum trees. We actually have room for one more pear. When we measured out this bed, we thought we had room for a certain number of trees, and we bought one less than the number of spaces in this row. So we are actually going to go on a road trip north to the town about 30 minutes north of us and pick up a cutting from a West Texas hard pear, which all of the locals around here rave about this West Texas hard pear, and I can't find anything on the internet about this being like an actual species or if it's just like local slang for the kefir pear, because everything we've googled or researched or heard about this West Texas hard pear, it sounds like it's a kefir pear, but all of the locals in this county, they all say that this West Texas hard pear is like a thing. So we're gonna get a cutting from one of those. It supposedly grows really well out here in this desert, in the Chihuahuan Desert. It also apparently is super prolific and heat resistant, disease resistant, and the best pear to have in our area. So we're gonna add a West Texas hard pear at the end of that row. We're gonna come in and add a ruby sweet plum. We already have a Methley plum that I got from Tractor Supply. We have a Florida King peach. We're also going to have, I think it's a Suncrest peach. I can't quite remember the variety on this peach that I got. And then at the end, we're going to have a Lupins or Lapins. I think it's a Lupin's cherry, maybe a Lapins cherry. I don't remember the spelling on that one. And then finally at the end, we're gonna have a Rainier cherry. And we'll get more into that video when we get the trees in. There's a lot of research we did into why we chose these specific varieties and what went into our thought on spacing these trees. And there is a lot of thought that's going into this orchard, but essentially this orchard is going to be 1 full acre when it's said and done, which is going to encompass, alongside you have our driveway going out. Our front gate is that white fence, so that's our property line up here. And so it's going to go basically from the driveway over to our fence line over there, and it's going to be 9 rows. We plan on doing 6 rows of fruit trees, with the first 2 rows being grapes and maybe hardy kiwis, and then we're going to have 2 rows of berry bushes. So we plan on having a food forest on this 1 acre, and I think it's going to be really good for Josh and I. We plan on having enough produced here on our acreage that we can give back to the community as well. Knowing that these round cages are just a temporary input to protect these trees from deer and from hogs, we are planning on actually fencing this row. It's just going to be a simple fence that comes around this 1 row. We have our fencing material right here and our T-posts, so that's going to be a project coming up. And what we plan on doing is essentially fencing in 1 row at a time, and then maybe adding a row each year until we get this completed. So with it being 9 rows, we should have our orchard completely installed within the next 10 years is our hope. So what we plan on doing is when we fence in this row, next year we're just going to pull out the T-post here, pull out the fencing, go down another 20 feet or so, and then add 1 roll of fencing and some more T-posts, and essentially just keep expanding our fenced in area until we have this whole acre done. So we can break it up into bits that are affordable and also not overwhelm us with projects, and this is going to take a lot of water. So we just figured doing 1 row at a time is going to be the best option for us. So you guys will have to stay tuned for a future video where we update you guys with receiving our order of fruit trees, getting those planted, and we'll tell you a little bit more about why we chose those varieties. Before we get into the next project that we've been working on, I need to go turn on our pump, and I'm gonna get about 2 hours of water going into our tank from our well. That way we can get it 1 step closer to being filled. Again, Josh is ordering a float valve so that we'll put it in so that when these tanks get full, it'll kick the pump off. Until he gets that float valve ordered, he's got me doing some manual labor this morning. This is our pump house. We do have another project coming up. As we just about get done with 1 project, we've got 3 more lined up. We do plan on adding an extension to this pump house. You can see it's a little pump house right here. We've already extended it once. We'd actually planned to have our well within the next 5 years, and due to unforeseen circumstances, we were able to jump on getting it done here and now, which is just unfathomable. I just saw a hawk fly over, so I'm gonna keep an eye on my girls. which is just unfathomable. But getting into it, now that we are expanding our water resources, we also need to expand our water closet. So this is going to be a 16-foot long pump house. It'll be probably, I think it's 8 feet wide is what Josh was saying, and it's going to have our setup for the well, and it'll also provide storage for gardening tools. Going into our setup now that we have, of course, we have our carbon filter. We have our water sterilizer. This is the pump that pumps the water from the tanks into our house. And I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the well. So we're gonna flip the switch. This is an AC/DC converter. And then I'm gonna open up the box for the well pump. And we're just gonna click this on. Now that I have the water turned on, it's coming through this trench and up into the tank. We're waiting on one more part. Once that gets put on, we're gonna come back and fill this trench in so that this can be protected. Let's just climb up here. If y'all know anything about me, I'm extremely afraid of heights. But in the name of YouTube, I wanted to show you guys if y'all can hear this water. Can y'all hear that? That is the sound of water coming out of our own ground. It's a good feeling. All right, safely back on the ground. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this to protect it from the dust. You can do it. There we go. Close up our pump house. And then I'm gonna set a timer for 2 hours to come back and check it. And finally, the last project that I wanted to update you guys on. Oh girls, how did I know? But again, I'm glad you localized your damage to one spot and not all my plants. They are having the day of their lives. The last thing that I wanted to show you guys on projects that we're currently working on is my garden. The one that I am most excited about. There's a little cactus wren hanging out in my garden over here. Evie knows where we're going. Where are we going? Slow down. She's not allowed to run. I know, you see that cactus wren, huh? Can it be our friend? Is it a little chicken? Oh, do you see the neighbors? Did they wake up? Are they gonna go feed your horses? Yeah. Making crop circles over here in our dusty silt. My garden is what we bought 5 acres for. Yes, the orchard is a plus. Yes, we plan on having a back acre with dairy goats one day. We plan on adding meat rabbits here towards the end of this year or early next year. We got a lot going on. We want to grow our own food. We want to live mindfully. We want to steward the land well, and we want to give back to our community. And this is how we know how. This garden is the most anticipated thing that I have literally been designing in my head and planning for the past several years now. And it's an understatement to say how excited I am that we are already breaking ground on our garden. Albeit, maybe we're running a little bit late here, but we're getting it done. So the fencing is done. We just have to add our gates on the front and on either side, and then we will have this thing completely enclosed. Josh also has started breaking ground on our sunken beds, and I'll show you guys a little bit of what's going on, but there will be another video coming out explaining why are we doing sunken beds instead of raised beds or traditional in-ground beds, and we'll explain a little bit more in that in a new upcoming video. But here is our first sunken bed. It is a 4-foot wide, 32-foot long bed, and it's sunken down about 4 to 6 inches into the ground. We do currently have it mixed 50-50 with native ground and 50% compost. We do also have perlite and vermiculite and a couple of other soil amendments like worm castings coming in. They do say with soil that it can take several years to build up your soil, and your soil ages beautifully and it will get better each year. So we don't have high expectations for our productivity this year or maybe even next year, but hopefully by year 3 we should be exploding. Hey Yasha, you came and joined the party? What are we doing over here? What are we doing? You're gonna find some more soft dirt to mess up? We got a bunch of it over here and no plants yet. We're gonna have to get our gate put in to keep you out because we don't want you to eat my garden. No, we don't. Are you being sweet? Yeah, you gotta be gentle. You gotta be gentle with the chickens. She loves the chickens. You get excited and you don't know how to show it. We can't play with them though because they're gentle girls. Yes, you gotta say hi gently. So that was a long-winded version of all of our projects that we're currently working on right now. We've got the fruit orchard that is coming up this weekend. We have the well, which is installed, but we need to still add our float valve to it to be done with that project, get that checked off the list. And then the garden is about to be in full swing. We have 1 bed dug, just waiting to finish off with amendments. We have 3 more to go until we'll be done with the first half of our garden. The other half we plan on adding a little bit more slowly. We're gonna get spring and summer crops planted out in here. If we get the other side done in time, we'll do maybe some succession sowing to get another round of crops growing on the other side. Or the other side may be a fall project. Maybe if we can get it done by the summertime, somewhere in August, we can start planting our fall crops in here and then have another wave of succession on this side. You are being so good. Yes. Yes, you are, Miss Evie. The last thing I wanted to show you guys today is our greenhouse and what's growing inside. We did show you guys on a previous video us building our greenhouse. Since that video came out, we did add a 3rd cattle panel to hold the middle down securely. When we were getting up in the 70+ mile-an-hour range on winds, it was held down really well on the sides, but this side was just ballooning up and we were afraid we were going to lose the greenhouse. We do have some damage from the wind, and we do think this is going to be a 1-season greenhouse, and then we'll probably repurpose it into a livestock run, such as for growing out maybe turkeys or having it as a chicken run or something like that in the future. If we add 2 more cattle panels and take off this plastic, this would be a great enclosure for some kind of livestock critter that we plan on adding in the future. It was not a very good greenhouse for where we live, unfortunately. It's largely very stressful anytime it gets windy. We've almost lost this thing a couple times, and the money we've put into renovating it, the extra framing out on the inside, the T-post on the outside, the wood along the bottom, the rebar on the middle, the cattle panels over the outside, the extra heater that we just bought to replace our old one. We've probably invested $600-700 into this thing, and it is living by the skin of its teeth. It's just hanging in there. So we will definitely probably be building a permanent higher quality greenhouse next season. Evie, come on, let's go get in the greenhouse. Right here. Let's see. Already, that's as high as the zipper will open. the zipper's broke, and we've had this thing for 3 weeks now. Evie, come on. Let's go get in. Good girl. Now I am gonna crawl on my hands and knees to get in this thing because that's the only way in right now. Good girl, I made it too. So I just crawled on my hands and knees to get in this thing. All of the other zippers broke. It's just the wind is too strong, and this is a really cheap greenhouse. We've thought about adding a framed out door, but we decided not to spend one more penny on this thing with as much money as we've already put into it. And I feel like Josh and I are usually very positive people, and this greenhouse is trying our nerves for sure. So you can see it's holding 70 degrees in here with our thermostat that we have. Our heater's doing great, and we've got our seedlings that are doing good as well. We already have sprouts. We are about a month behind here, but that's okay. Our seedlings are going to grow a few more weeks before we put them out into their permanent homes in the garden, and I do plan on coming back out today and starting a few more trays of started plants just to give them a little bit of a head start before we get them planted out. And we'll go into more detail on the varieties once we get these planted out into their permanent homes, and I hope that they can do well in our soil, but again, soil takes a few years to build up, so if we can grow some produce this year, I'm going to be happy. What about you, Evie? Are you gonna be happy? These are some of my tomatoes, and you can see that they don't all look very healthy, and that is because some of these were started in my old greenhouse that blew away, which you can see in a previous video, which I will link at the end of this video if you want to go check that one out. But what I did was, instead of pulling out the first round of seedlings, I thought they may grow and they may recover. So instead of pulling them out, I just added new seeds in the same pots. And I figured we'd just see what happens. I can always pull out the old ones later or separate them into multiple tomatoes. But you can see here I have some new ones that are coming up really strong and healthy. And then I have some older ones which are a little leggy and weaker. So those are really exciting that they're coming up. My new ones are coming up. I also have tomatillos and ground cherries. We have a couple trays of squash that are started as well, and then we have things like herbs. You can see my basil is starting to come up. It largely, to the untrained eye, looks like a bunch of soil cups filled with dirt, but when you get a little bit closer and take a peek at them, you can see that almost all of the pots do have things that are starting to come up. That is all that I have for you guys today for our video. I wanted to let you guys in on some of the projects that we've been working on and are continuing to work on, and we will keep you guys updated along the way. If you liked this video, do not forget to give us a big thumbs up. It really helps our channel, and also subscribe. That way you can stay up to date with everything going on here at Reach and Reverie. All right, girls, y'all have caused enough damage today. Let's go back home. Come on, let's go. They know where we're going, huh? They're following you, Evie.